SCP-4520. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. While SCP-4520 is typically docile, there is potential for the instance to roll a high number on its dice repeatedly and escape. Interaction with SCP-4520 is to be kept to a minimum, and SCP-4520 is not to receive silverware with its meals. Meal trays are to be made of styrofoam to prevent improvisation of weaponry. At least one staff member is to monitor SCP-4520's dice to sound an alarm in the event of high rolls. Due to recent containment breaches, new security measures have been added. SCP-4520's cell is to have no less than 7 steel sliding doors, only able to be opened from the outside, to reduce the likelihood of another containment breach. SCP-4520 is also to receive counseling for depression and anxiety relating to his situation. Description: SCP-4520 is humanoid and resembles an adult male in its late 20s. SCP-4520 claims to be a high elf, but DNA evidence suggests that it is entirely human. SCP-4520 has not shown any visible signs of aging. Its appearance has no extremely recognizable qualities, other than having bright red hair and having a larger build than many of his age. SCP-4520 has a large glowing die above his head, which floats a meter above it at all times. Only SCP-4520 is able to interact with this dice, but the die will always move to be visible and tends to not phase through solid material when it can be avoided. By default, the die is 20-sided, but the die can change, seemingly by the will of SCP-4520. When the dice are rolled, a number is displayed above the last used die, corresponding to the number rolled. These die modify the actions of SCP-4520. Typically, a 20-sided die will instantaneously be rolled whenever SCP-4520 attacks something. These dice give SCP-4520 anomalous abilities, such as the ability to heal extremely quickly when sleeping, the ability to speak a modified form of Welsh, and various other effects based on its rolls. SCP-4520's abilities typically depend on how high he rolls his die, with several anomalous effects occurring in this respect. See Addendum 4520.1. SCP-4520 cannot complete most actions without first rolling one or more dice. SCP-4520's dice appear to modify probability to standardized sets of numbers. SCP-4520 has no ability to affect the outcome of the die, and the results rely on the number rolled. Typically, high numbers lead to better results, while lower numbers tend to lead SCP-4520 to fail an action, or perform said action weakly. The 20-sided die tends to affect basic luck, especially in relation to whether or not SCP-4520 is able to successfully complete an action, while the 4-sided die affects how much force is added or detracted from its strength. SCP-4520 does not typically speak when not spoken to, but occasionally mutters sentences about not breaking character. It refuses to elaborate on these slips. Addendum 4520.1 Testing Logs. These tests detail the anomalous effects of SCP-4520 and its dice. The term 1d20 plus 1 indicates a 20-sided die rolled one time, with an added due to a modifier in the conditions indicated as plus 1. Dice values: 17 on a d20 and 2 on a d4. Description: SCP-4520 punches a punching bag with about 1000 newtons of force. Dice values: 13 on a d20 and 4 on a d4. Event description: SCP-4520 punches a punching bag, this time breaking it open. The force of the punch is estimated at about 2000 newtons. Dice values: 4 on a d20, no d4 rolled. Event description: SCP-4520 is now wearing weighted boxing gloves. It misses the new punching bag. Dice values: 20 on a d20, and 9 on 2d4 plus 1. Event description: a green 20 illuminates above the die. SCP-4520 performs 2 extremely fast punches which send the punching bag off its hinges, and crosses researcher Jacobson against the back wall. Jacobson suffers heavy injuries but is expected to live. Dice values: 9 on a d20 roll, no d4 rolled. A dodgeball is launched at SCP-4520, who almost manages to catch it but is hit square in the stomach and doubles over. Dice values: 1 on the d20 roll, no d4 rolled. Event description: SCP-4520 appears to be angry and grabs a ball from the ground and launches it at the window where the researchers are watching. A red 1 appears above the die and it trips, knocking its head on the ground and concussing it. Dice values: 20 on a d20 roll, and 8 on 2d4. Event description: in an unscheduled event, SCP-4520 rolls a green 20 and does 2 quick punches into the door in his cell, breaking the door off its hinges. SCP-4520 breaches containment. Dice values: 17 on a d20 roll, and 4 on a d4 roll. Event description: 2 site security members attempt to stop SCP-4520 with taser rods. SCP-4520 punches the first one in the side of the head, knocking him out. Dice values: 20 on a d20 roll, no d4 rolled. Event description: the second guard seems to be frightened, so he pulls out his gun and attempts to intimidate SCP-4520 back into its cell. When SCP-4520 continues to approach, the guard shoots. SCP-4520 dodges in such a way that the bullet ricocheted off one of the remaining metal doors, back into the head of the guard, killing him. Dice values: 4 on a d20 roll, no d4 roll. Event description: SCP-4520 attempts to punch the second door open, and misses. Dice values: 1 on a d20 roll, no d4 rolled. Event description: SCP-4520 attempts to kick the door down and manages to shatter his leg. Site security detains it and gives it medical attention before placing him into a new cell. Addendum 4520-2. This log details the most prominent and eclectic anomalous effects when SCP-4520 rolls a 1 or a 20 on its 20-sided dice. Some examples of said anomalous effects are listed below. Dice value: 1. Event description: subject was instructed to observe an orange. SCP-4520 insists that the fruit in question was an apple, before falling on its face and going temporarily blind. Subject regains sight approximately 5 minutes after this roll. Dice value: 20. Event description: SCP-4520 stared intently at the orange, muttered at the hexadecimal value for the exact shade of orange, stated the weight of the orange to 4 decimal places, and counted the exact number of molecules in the orange. Dice value: 20. Event description: subject was instructed to conceal itself to Foundation personnel. Subject entirely vanished and was unable to be picked up on any camera or monitor. Monitoring of infrared camera showed the subject quickly modifying its own body temperature to exactly match its surroundings, including fluctuations of temperatures in the surroundings. Subject reappeared in the darkest corner of the room. Dice value: 1. Event description: subject was repeatedly instructed to conceal itself until a 1 was rolled. When a 1 was rolled, Foundation personnel found themselves unable to stop looking at SCP-4520. Personnel not in the immediate vicinity were also affected, and most site personnel entered the room to look at SCP-4520. Dice value: 20. Event description: subject was asked to complete an obstacle course. SCP-4520 jumped off of the ground and bounced off several walls, clearing the entire obstacle course within 15 seconds. Structural damage was observed in the areas in which the instance jumped or bounced, due to extreme amounts of force applied. Dice valued 1. Event description: SCP-4520 fell on its face and broke its nose on the first hurdle. Addendum 4520.3 Interview with SCP-4520. Jacobson: Hello, SCP-4520. How's your leg doing? You know damn well. I will crush all of you with the force of my magic. I will, smite you all. Yes, I am quite familiar with your smiting. Ah yes, you are the foul researcher whom I crushed with the mysterious bag of sand. That was the best day I've had at this foul facility. Well, I am glad my suffering brought you some enjoyment. Now, on to the questions. What are those dice above your head? What the hell, Megan? Why are they talking about the dice? Is this one of those weird experimental sessions you love so much? Who is this Megan? Nice try, but it's not funny anymore. Can you please DM a little better? Do you want me to feel immersed or not? You can't say they can see me rolling dice and also try to say that you aren't doing dialogue. That's not how the system works. Megan, take off the headgear. We need to talk about this. This isn't funny. Take it off. Megan? Researcher's notes. SCP-4520 disposition has notably worsened after this interview. It has stopped talking to researchers, only occasionally muttering to and about somebody named Megan. Investigations as to the origin of SCP-4520 and Megan are ongoing.